It's an interview, but it's a conversation. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start with Britton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Britton, I'm gonna start with you, and we can work our way around. Everybody, introduce yourself. Tell me the genre you write in, and anything you want us to know before we get started.
Okay. Hi, Britton Brinkley. What genre do I not write in? Historical fiction. That answers that question for you. That's a never. No, I write romance remixed with whatever genre sparked my mood that day. So I'm a little bit all over the board, but that keeps it fun and keeps you guessing. Um, yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
Gracie Cooper, and I write rom-coms and monster romance.
Yes, she does.
And I am Bobby slash Leya Lane. As Leia, I write romance, currently mostly contemporary, hot Hallmark style, um, with lots of spice. And I have a paranormal thrown in there, a little ghost romance, just kind of thrown in the mix. And whatever else comes to mind, I'm kind of like Britain, whatever hits the fancy on any given day.
Okay.
Oh, well, I'm Ashley Willow, and I write spicy contemporary romance as well as medical drama. So I have a contemporary romance series out, I have a small town romance, and then I have a medical drama series.
Okay. Time out. You two at the bottom, Leia and Ashley. I got questions. Let me ask this question real quick. You said you write Hallmark with spice.
Yes. I write Hallmark as everything you want from Hallmark, small town, sweet, and everything with an open door. Just throw the door wide open.
Gotcha. And Ashley, you said you write medical. What the hell?
So I have the Stars of Life series, which I don't have sitting here, but the last book came out yesterday. So this series is first responders for the most part. So we have the medical drama on that end. The second book is one first responder, one lab tech, and then the last book is a doctor and a nurse. And then I have regular romance.
Well, shit. You learn something new every fucking day. All right. So let's get into these questions. What inspired Falling in Cole County, and how did the idea for this collaborative anthology come about?
Oh, I'll take this one. Our delusions inspired it. That is what inspired it. I mean, as a lot of you know, like when there's like a dancing flower thing up there. We just sit in our delusions together every day, and it makes us really happy. So at some point we were like, oh, we should do an anthology together. That would be so much fun. And then we were like, oh, let's make it a seasonal series because that'll be even more fun. And I don't know exactly which one of us came up with the idea. But we were like, let's make it all in the same county. And then the characters can interact, and then they can kind of overlap in that way. But we all have our own separate stories. It's just all in the same place. So it's almost kind of like Leia said with the Hallmark vibe. Like you get all these people in these Hallmark movies that are all doing their own thing and they're all in the same place, but they all have their own stories. And so that's how Cole County happened. And it has now sparked several other series that are coming.
I can tell y'all right now before I even get to the other questions. This one. This the one. This the one. This the one. Yeah. Yeah. But
So it's funny that you said that because that's the one that stressed us out the most.
Yeah.
These books were supposed to release over the course of like 4 years. And then Miss Ashley down here was like, oh, well, it'd be weird to release winter after Christmas. And so we should just move it all up. And so the entire timeline got moved up.
But
The last
listen,
book?
I only thought of that because someone else was like, it's going to be weird to not release the seasons in order.
Pass the phone to.
The last book wasn't supposed to come out until like 2027 or 2028.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, can you each share a little about the stories you contributed to in like one of the books that is your favorite? Not the heavy sigh. What the hell?
We
Just
have to
one?
pick a favorite child?
Go
Okay,
ahead
fine.
and start because mine are the only ones that are interconnected across the series.
Mm.
So I started with this idea of a second chance romance girl going back home to a small town. Told you I am hot Hallmark, right? And so I was like, she's going to go back to hometown and she's going to meet her first love again. And, they're going to fall in love. And then as I was getting toward the end of the story, it was like, well, her best friend, who was his twin sister, she deserves her own story. So let me give her a story somewhere in there. And then I fell in love with the dad. And so I was like, well, the dad deserves a love story. And so all of mine are connected in some way through family or friendship.
Mm.
And they're each getting their own romance in that way. And so I would have to say probably the Snowed In one. If I had to pick one, that is my favorite. It is an age gap. It is a pretty extreme age gap. She's about 26. He's and I don't know why my earbuds keep connecting to the computer instead of staying on the phone. And so they really don't like each other at the beginning. And that was a fun bit of banter to write back and forth because he's very, he's older. He's kind of set in his ways. He's been widowed for like the last 5 years and he is just coming out of a depression. And here is this younger girl who is like wild and open and just colorful. And he's looking at her like, where the hell did you come from? And she's like, why are you so old? And yeah, so they were a lot of fun to write.
Anybody else?
Not why are you so old?
Stuck in your
Oh
ways.
gosh. I guess I can go. I have a hard time choosing between fall and spring, but they're related stories. So falling was the forced proximity. There was a storm, a power outage. So he had a generator. No, he didn't have a generator. He had a wood stove and heat, and she didn't. So she stayed with him for a while, and you had that whole thing. Plus, he was a lumber snack. But then spring, you gotta have a lumber snack.
Have to.
Spring, I took the female main character's best friend and gave her a story. So in spring, we have the rodeo, and my character and Britton's character, the males are brothers, and they don't get along. So we're doing a full length on that one. So the full length is one of my favorite things that I've written so far. So that's why I'm having a hard time choosing.
So I guess I'll go next because I have the exact same problem choosing between fall and spring. Now my characters are not connected at all, but fall was like, it was like a different take on Taboo because they're estranged ex-step siblings. And they haven't known each other. Well, I mean, they really didn't know each other before, but like they haven't known each other for 16 years. And forced proximity being in like the family cabin, and they like connected, but not in a weird way when they were younger. And so getting to reconnect as adults, and they're both getting over their divorces, was a lot of fun to write. And that'll actually be becoming a full length at some point down the road. Now, with Spring, Gray is just a fun character. He holds a lot of resentment for his brother, and he's kind of, if you don't know who J.B. Mooney is, like he's a famous bull rider. He's kind of that mentality. Like he doesn't care if he's hurt, he's going to ride. He doesn't care what happens, he's going to ride. 'Cause he's a bull rider and his brother's a bronc rider. And then he meets the new rodeo doc, and she gives him as much shit as he gives everybody else. And they just, fireworks literally explode night one. And then we just go from there.
So I think for me, I'm struggling because, like Bobby, mines are all interconnected. I think probably mine might be falling, and the only reason because I was able to interconnect my Martini Girl series with Cole County. because I took one of my characters who wasn't supposed to have a story at all, but I gave her a story, and I connected it into Cole County. So I gave Moxie, who I introduced in Forever Luna, and I made her come from Cole County. And her parents are from Cole County, so I was able to establish that, and then I was able to branch out new characters into Cole County. So Moxie's friends, she went to school, so they call them the state girls. So like Dakota, Georgia, and Montana, the rest of the girls are in spring and winter and in summer. So I was able to branch out their stories. But in Falling, I was able to still bring in my, grumpy old ladies from my naughty girls from the naughty golden girls. I was able to bring them into Falling Cole County.
They are hilarious.
So I was kind of happy to bring them in. So I think Falling, but then, I had the same problem with Spring. I love my MMC and Spring of Sebastian. He's swoony for me. So I don't know. I'm kind of debating which one I like more.
So Cole County has like this charm, and it's like a immersive setting due to the small towns. And how did you develop the town and its community?
We have a spreadsheet. So, as we were writing our stories, we were like, okay, we've added this new place. Okay, this event is happening, and it all goes into the spreadsheet. And as we're writing, we're like, okay, how can we incorporate this location and this location and make sure the names are the same, even if we don't use them in the same way, that the names are the same. So that way you really feel like you are visiting Cole County, even though the stories are very different.
Yeah, so like I have a bar scene, and Bobby's like, "What bar are you going to? Where's your characters at? My bar is this thing. Okay, my people are gonna go to that bar." And we're like, "Okay, so if we have to interact, if our characters had to interact, like Moxie interacted with Britton's characters at the fair in book 1, like we make sure they kind of like align. So our character will share the scene, so make sure that we have the right, meet and greet or meet cute or whatnot. Or Bobby and I, if we have to, or the same thing, Ashley. There was an incident at the fair with Ashley's and the dog. We all kind of like made sure that we all more or less matched up our lines together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do have a spreadsheet, and you don't want to see it because it's
bad.
So let me ask you guys this: how would you define cozy romance, and what makes it different from other romance genres?
I think it just gives you the warm and fuzzies, and like it's like that fleece blanket that you just want to like snuggle into. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that like cozy romance can't also be spicy. It can't also have that like Zsa Zsa Gabor in there, and it definitely can. Like it's just the other elements of it that just like you just want to like snuggle up with your hot chocolate that's probably got some booze in it and just enjoy yourself.
And the stakes aren't high. So, like, you're not stressed out the whole time. Like, you're just sitting back and enjoying the story.
I like that. So, what are some of your favorite, like, aspects of small town romance that readers can expect from Falling in Cole County of any other books?
Old Man Wilbur.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
And Patches.
The dog.
I mean, I think it's
Definitely
like we said, it has so many of those elements that you see in like Hallmark or even those holiday movies that we know we all watch on Netflix. Don't pretend like you don't, because we all do it. But like, that someone's coming to the small town for the first time, or someone's coming home, or, those people that maybe were friends in high school get to reconnect. I don't know, I'm making up all sorts of stuff now that may or may not happen. But like, you're going to get those elements in there. We just threw in a little bit of extra oomph with it. And so we all love that. We all love that predictability. Like, oh, she's moving back to her hometown. She's going to run into that old fling that she had, and it's going to be great. We know it's going to happen, but it's still enjoyable to watch that story unfold.
It's giving Good Witch and Gilmore Girls all wrapped into one. That's the vibe it's giving me. So what are some of your favorite cozy romance tropes?
Forced proximity. Whether it be the small town or something like they're snowed in or whatever. Like, I love that. They're up close and personal and up close and personal.
Mm-hmm.
The one bed.
Ooh, yeah.
The one bed.
That's a good one.
I think those like classic town events too, like the town fair, or the parade, or the annual bake off, like those moments where you know that they're going to be there together and something cute's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not like a romantic type cute, like something cute's going to happen between the couple because they're going to be there together. I don't know what that trope is called, but
Just make it up. Just make it up. Just name it and claim
together at the event trope.
There we go. I think for me, the big thing about small town is you know what to expect. Like, small towns really don't change a lot. And so, like, you can kind of walk in and feel comfortable no matter what in this space, right? You know, this space has been created. Unlike walking into some small towns where you don't know what, when it comes to books, right? There is this space that's created. And you pretty much know what's going to happen when you walk in there. And I think one of the things that I love about this series that we're putting out together is that even though the seasons change, we know what we're walking into, what we're creating, the vibe that's there, and the expectations that come with that. And it makes it a lot easier to write than trying to come up with something brand new every single time.
So who are your biggest influences or favorite cozy romance? I know Nora Roberts. I already know. But who else besides Nora Roberts is your biggest influences for favorite cozy romance?
I would say probably the closest thing to that for me would be Brittany Cherry. I don't know if I would necessarily call her cozy romance because there's a lot of dark things that happen in those books, but in terms of that like warm hug feel and falling for those characters and kind of knowing where it's going to go, even if you don't know how they get there, I would say that's probably the closest to cozy romance for me.
Okay.
I've always been a big fan of Jill Shalvis and Mimi Grace. I love Mimi Grace's books, and Jill Shalvis has always been like another big. I've always been a big fan of hers too.
I can see that with you, Gracie, because you are like Mimi Grace when it comes to your. I swear,
I love her rom-coms and I love her books.
I can see that one. I definitely can see that one.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody else?
That's hard for me because I jump all over the place. The same way I write is the same way I read. And so I write poetry and fantasy and children's books and romance. And so I jump. I don't necessarily stick with one author. Like, I read a lot of Nora Roberts. I read a lot of, what was her name? There was Malcolm Homer when I was younger. There were a lot of authors that I just like I'd walk into the library and be like, okay, what's on the counter? And if it was there and it called to me, I read it. If the picture was there, I read it. And then if I found an author that I really loved, I would just go to their spot, and pull all the books off the shelves and read them one by one. But it wasn't like this person inspired me to start writing or to want my stories to be that way. I'm a pantser. I pretty much don't even think about it. I start with a blank page and I'm like, okay, if two characters were to sit down in a bar together, what would they say to each other? And that is literally how I start the story. And so it is really hard for me to say like, oh, this was my influence, because there's so many influences in what I do.
Kind of like what she was saying. I read a lot, and I read a lot of different things. Like, the books I read are all over the place. But most recently, I would say I picked up a Lori Foster book at a library book sale for $1. And it was Cooper's Charm, and it had a cute puppy on the cover. And so I read it. And that was probably the spiciest small town little cozy book that I have read. And based off of the little cute puppy, I was not expecting it. So she was probably the first author that I picked up that I saw was on the spicier side of small town. And it like it still had the low stakes, like it was still cozy, but it was a lot of fun to read. So I don't know if I was inspired, but
let me ask you guys this. There has, with the climate that we're in, women are up against the wall, against a lot of the patriarchy. As writers that write romance, that write cozy romance, how do you feel as writers in taking the charge and doing a, because always said that writing is always a form of activism. So how do you feel as authors with the climate that it is and those people who wish that it all go away because for some reason they're not getting dick down or getting their pussy ate? I don't know. But how do you feel as writers as far as leading this charge, as putting your work out and stating what you're saying? Because some of I don't know everybody's ethnicity, but I know some of us and all of us are women, right? And we're all going through the same struggle as women. And some of us are going through a lot more as women. So how do you feel that your writing is a form of activism?
I think for me, and this is outside of this climate, this is just in general, all of my female main characters, except for maybe the one in Misfits, because I honestly, I don't know what she is. I don't know if she's white, mixed. I don't have a single clue. But all of my women are like at least part black or black women. And the men are kind of all over the place. Like I would say probably majority are white, but that's also because of the way I was brought up. Like I was brought up in a very mixed family. And so for me, I want to see the couples that I'm used to. I want to see the people that I'm used to in books. And that means that you could be anywhere across the racial, ethnicity, nationality spectrum. And I do feel like that gets lost, especially interracial couples get lost in books. And I think sometimes too, like when we think about interracial, we only think about it one way. And Ashley and I see this a lot when we're trying to find stock photos. You see a black man and a white woman. And you see it over and over again. But interracial couples go a lot of different directions and can be a lot of different mixed races. And so that's something that I like to see, because you can sit there and pretend like you're as pure as can be, and I guarantee you that you're probably not. So sit on your high horse all you want, but go do your DNA test. Go get your genome sequence, and I guarantee you're going to be really surprised. Okay, and so for me, like that's the way I do it, with just the way I was brought up.
Yeah.
Yep. Same as what Britton was saying. Like we both write interracial romance. All of my characters are going to be women of color. Like that's what I'm going to write, and I like writing them just existing. So just regular people. Like sometimes there may be a statement in there. Other times it's just a romance.
Yeah.
And same way, it's interracial romance. So usually it's that direction. I do have a book that's kind of the opposite direction. But anyway, the characters are going to be from all over the place because that's what I'm used to. Like I lived in New Jersey for a long time. So I was seeing all different people, and we all got along. We all hung out. So I kind of write that, like that's my vibe. So I think as far as in this climate, like I'm going to continue to write what I'm going to write.
Yeah.
Like the women are going to know what they want. They are going to be spicy. The side characters are going to be not necessarily just like the main characters. So you're going to get diversity. So if you're not looking for that, I'm sorry, but that's what you're going to find in my books. So that's kind of my little statement.
Come on, women empowerment. I love this. Come on. Give me some more.
I guess we're going in a circle, so that would put me next. So for me, it really is about seeing women who don't necessarily fit the mold. So all of my female main characters are over 26. They are all either plus size or mid size. Because I just turned 50 this year. I am tired of all of these super young, you know, even if there's an age gap, they're like barely grown with these really old men who have lived 12 lives before they even get with this woman. And it feels very groomy to me. Like they don't even know what their lives are or what they could be without these men. And so I prefer to write about women who have lives before they meet the men that they're with. And to see how those relationships build and come together. And then I try to give my women as much authentic emotion as possible. You know, it's not over the top unless it needs to be. And yet I'm not quieting myself down. I'm not making them quiet themselves down to make society happy. They are who they are. And when the emotions are real, the emotions are real. And that's what's going to happen. So like in my paranormal book, right, he and she are both pissed off at the same people. When their sparks fly, things happen. And, you know, other people get hurt. They deserve it. You know, so what happens are things that should happen that we couldn't necessarily do in real life, you know, but they happen. And like in my newest book that came out, she works in a floral shop and at night she's a dominatrix, you know, because sometimes you have to live your life.
As you're talking to a dominatrix.
I knew she was gonna like that one.
She went for paranoia. You know I love paranoia. Then she said the dom. I was like, oh.
I was like, oh, that's right up her alley. She's gonna like that one.
Okay, Gracie, what do you have to say?
I think for me, so my women are always going to be like Bobby's. They're always going to be somewhere either in the 30s and above. And mine actually come in all sizes. Like all my women are usually all sizes. But that's also just because the circle of friends that I revolve myself around. I have a variety of friends. As you can see, the girls that I write with, these are my besties. And then the girls that I grew up with, I have a range of friends. And I think for my female leads, they're always going to have, besides having the swoony MMC or swoony heartthrob, they're always going to have that circle of friends that's going to back them up and be their support group. And I think that's what I will always have in my books. Is always going to have a strong support system, female support system for them. Whether it's 1 or 5 or 9, like the Martini Girls, they're always going to have a strong female support system that's going to back them up. They're going to be their ride and die, you know, whether it's bringing them the ice cream at the end of the day or carrying shovels in the trunks, you know, that they're always going to be there. So
I love that. I respect that. I love that because I read across the board, so there's no limit unless it's nonfiction.
You won't find that here.
no.
I mean, I try, but
Once the degrees were done, the nonfiction kind of it goes over there on the shelf. That was
So what the book features like seasons and events in Cole County. Did any of these moments come from real life experience? Inquiring minds want to know.
I'll answer first because I'm probably the easiest one to answer. No. I've never lived in a small town. I've barely ever been to a small town, except for when I went to Ashley's house. Like, so for me, it's the stuff you see on TV, or it's like kind of the stuff that you imagine. I'm originally from New Jersey, like right outside New York City, and now I live in Northern Virginia, like right outside DC. I went to school in Columbus, Ohio, which is pretty much the college, and I lived in Chicago. So like for me, the small town feel
From Chicago
is, oh, hi. I don't live there anymore, but it's nothing that I'm used to or I've ever actually really experienced. Like I went to a county fair for the first time with Ashley last year. Like I drove up in the middle of the week to Ohio to go to this county fair and go to the rodeo. it was the first time I'd ever been to something like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's just like, I guess, secondhand knowledge for me.
Yeah.
No real life experience. Just, this is kind of fun.
So I will go next. I've gone to small town fairs and stuff like that. What happened at the small town fair in Bali and Cole County? No, I personally did not do that. But I just and, I put it in my book, but I did not do that. So I did not.
You have a
And
great
now everybody's like,
imagination.
so what exactly happened?
You have a great
You have to read it and find
imagination.
out.
You have to read it.
That's a great imagination.
You have to read it.
So I am a big fan of haunted houses and haunted trails. And so when we were doing the fall one, I had to include that in there. Now, have I ever done what my characters did on that haunted, trail? No. But that doesn't mean that I haven't thought about it.
I thought I was getting an exclusive.
No. I mean, you did because you read it. Not everybody has read it yet. So,
I was just saying. I mean,
it's possible. It's possible. But hopefully there are no like fires in the fair that get everybody else off off the trailer.
Well, I mean, I live in a small town, and we do have all those silly festivals. Like we do. We do a fall festival. The whole community comes out. They have little kids events. They do the tree lighting. We do have all those. But they're not as fun as Cole County. Cole County is better. No, nothing has caught fire. There were no misthrown axes. Like, it's pretty calm.
Oh, well, damn. Okay.
Right?
How did the four of you collaborate on the project? Did each of you write your own stories independently, or was there a lot of brainstorming together?
I would say a little bit of both. So
Yes and yes.
Okay, not a little bit of both. Let me rephrase that. Yes, we all wrote our own stories individually, except for Ashley and I. For spring, we kind of sort of wrote it side by side because our characters had to match up. We will never, ever, ever have brothers as main characters again. It was too much.
It's so hard.
But in terms of the brainstorming, we kind of brainstormed each season what's going to be the event that brings everyone together, because we decided that would be the tie-in point. It doesn't necessarily mean that they all meet up. It doesn't necessarily mean they're all there at the same time or even doing the same activities, but what's the tie-in event? And so that's what we brainstormed, and kind of what activities we can expect there. And from there, you kind of had freedom to do whatever you want. So like Gracie said, our female main characters know each other because she's coming to her family's house and Moxie's from there.
Yeah.
And then in book 2, my characters know a lot of the characters from in town, which ties into Ashley's male main character from Fall, and Moxie's parents from Falling. So little things like that tied them together is all we really brainstormed on. Otherwise,
And Old Man Wilbur. So there either has to be an Old Man Wilbur sighting or there has to be a dog sighting. Patches has to be in there.
What's your writing process? Y'all said that y'all have a spreadsheet. Is there also an outline, or do you discover the story as you go?
we are all pantsers.
Pantsers.
There will never be an outline. You will never see an outline from us.
No.
If you do, send help. Send help. Something's really wrong.
Something is wrong.
Okay. How do you balance romance, humor, and warmth in your stories?
I think for me, I let my characters naturally do that. So I think it's just I do a lot of dialogue, so my books are dialogue heavy, and then I everything else I fill in. I do the fillers afterwards, or I call them fillers afterwards. But I let my characters do that naturally, It's got to be organic. Like it's just the feels that they give each other or how they feed off of each other. And then everything else I just put in. It's the only way I can describe it or say it. I don't know if that makes sense, but if not, it doesn't come organic to me. Like it doesn't come across as being organic.
I'm the same way. Like I'm very dialogue heavy. Like I will always be dialogue heavy. And I may know the beginning, the middle, the end, but I have no idea what's going to happen in between until I'm writing it. So typically I'm watching this conversation play out. I'm watching this interaction play out. So if I think that something would be funny with it, then I will go that direction. But I don't really know until I start.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say I'm very much the same. I like to say my characters write their own story, and then I have to go clean up their messes afterwards. They do whatever they want to do, and within reason, I will allow it. But I'm not dialogue heavy. I'm trying to get better about putting in more dialogue. I'm very like internal thoughts type person, and maybe that's because I'm that type of person. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it. But for me, I see things like a movie trailer, so I see like flashes of what's going to happen. I don't know necessarily what order or like how we get there. The characters kind of dictate that, and I just say a prayer to all heavens above that things go smoothly.
I am, like we talked about, I'm a pantser, but I also have aphantasia. So I can't picture or see anything. Everything to me is dialogue. It is all words all the time. And so I literally sit here, like I said before, when I get ready to start a story, it is, okay, I want this to start here. What would two people say to each other? Is it going to be the male main character and the female main character? Or is it going to be two best friends? Who is it going to be? It is literally, how does the conversation start? And then what is the natural progression for that conversation afterwards? And then usually somebody will read it after me and they'll be like, you know, you probably want to describe what these people look like. I'm like, but I don't care what they look like. In my mind, it is me around the corner listening in to what's happening, right? It's a lot like eavesdropping when I write. I'm just being nosy. I am not a nosy person in real life. Like if people are yelling outside, they can yell outside. I will do anything else to not look out that window. But when it comes to my characters, I need to hear everything they're saying, everything they're doing, and I'm just going to put it down on paper because I can't see it.
Yeah.
So it is going to be, whatever it is that happens is really because in my mind, this is how I would respond, or this is how someone I know would respond to that comment, and that's usually how a character will play out. I don't start with the idea of, oh, I want to base this on my little sister, or, oh, I want to base this on somebody that I worked with. No, it is just, this is how they would respond. Oh, that sounds like such and such. Now I have an idea in my head of how they should respond from now on. Right? Because I have worked with that person, or I have lived with that person, or I have seen that person in action. And that kind of gives me that perspective. But it really is all about perspective.
Oh, I like that. So, Britton already answered her question, but I'm going to let her go in depth on it. Do you write closed door or open door romance? And how do you decide on the level of intimacy?
That door is always wide open. Is every scene like explicitly described from like point A to point B? No. Like sometimes you just like, they'll make a reference like, he blew my back out. Okay, great. That's all we need to know. That's fine. We can move on. But other scenes are like, described in whatever sort of detail. But in terms of the level of intimacy, I think that gets back to exactly what we just said. The characters dictate that based on the current like environment of where they're at in the book and where they're at in their relationship. That's not for me to decide. It's for me to decide what maybe like what position they decide to do their deed in. Okay. But the intimacy part, like they have to figure that out because they're the ones that are living it. I'm just sitting here with my popcorn. I'm just a spectator.
Anybody?
So I write both closed door and open door, or I started recently writing open door. And when I mean open door, I mean I don't write like full blown open door, but I've gotten more comfortable, especially thanks to my
They're
friends.
bad influences.
Getting more comfortable writing open door romance. So for the Martini Girls, I wrote my first 2 books were closed door, and I've introduced opening the door in that series. I don't think that would go completely full door just because I don't want to lose my initial readers in that series. But I want to be able to introduce it to both, people who like closed door and open door. My other series for this one, specifically for Cole County, we did wanted to make it a cozy, spicy romance. So I did I did write Falling in Cole County was my first one where I kind of dipped my toes a little bit to open the doors a little bit more. I can honestly tell you it was a challenge, but it was fun. It was fun to push myself to write. Now I will read any open door. Like I have no limits. I will read everything. Give it to me. I am fine. I will read every spice. I don't have a limit of spice level for reading. I love it. But writing it is a challenge for me. And I liked it. I enjoyed writing it. So it's been fun. Will I be able to write like the spiciest? I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get that. I've got like Vanessa's wanting me to write Why Choose. I don't know if I'll ever get to that part. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do something like that, but I will read it happily. Britton writes Why Choose. That's the Why Choose girl. So, but I write both. I think also, like Britton says, my characters are the ones that will dictate the spice level, the cozy level, the swooniness. I think I'll always try to keep it within like the swoony realm because that's just what I'm trying to, that's kind of like what my logo and stuff is. So I keep it.
You definitely, Gracie, I fell in love with your Martini Girls the first book. Even with it not being as, I'm fucking you through the wall type situation, it is definitely, the tension is enough. You know what I'm saying? So I love it. I'm not really a closed door girly, but I just love the Martini Girls. You can't help but not love it.
I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that.
I completely agree with you, Storm. I think that she does closed door right.
She does.
Like, you feel that tension and you feel those relationships and you feel like, okay, this is where it's supposed to happen. Even if I don't see it, yeah. I know this is about to happen. I think for me, it is really, again, about the natural feel of it. So like I have some closed door scenes and I have a lot of open door scenes, right? I have never been shy or scared of sex. And so I don't, when I write, if the scene calls for it to be open door, it is going to be wide open. You are going to see it, you are going to hear it, you are going to feel it. But there are other times when I'm like, okay, I can say that it happened because it doesn't tell me anything about the characters. And to me, it really is about that dynamic between the people. And so if the fact that they had sex doesn't change the dynamic between them, or it wasn't important enough to move the story along, then I don't include it. But I think that for me, because I'm so dialogue heavy, because I can't visualize it, because it is all about that interaction between the two of them, even my open door scenes include a lot of dialogue. They whether it's internal dialogue or external dialogue, there is a lot of learning about the characters that happens through the sex, because that is, I mean, we in reality learn a lot about ourselves when we're in intimate situations with people, right? We learn about ourselves, we learn about them, we grow, we develop, we find out what we like, what we don't like, you know, who we are as people. And so to me, that is important to show. And I think we miss some of that when it's just closed door. And so I throw the door wide open.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like the way Gracie writes, and I also like when the author has the man damn near pound you through the wall. I mean, I like it all. You know what I'm saying? So,
And I like when animals interrupt. So I get in trouble a lot for, you know,
that damn cat.
you know, I'm going to need you to leave him alone.
Leave Ferris alone.
So in one of my books, there is a cat named Ferris, and he kind of interrupts the scene. And, you know, everybody calls him a cock-blocking cat. That literally is the last line of the book.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a dog in Clarissa who also interrupts a scene. Just
I was
saying.
ready to drop that cat off at the shelter.
not the shelter.
But yeah, I'm the same way. Like, it depends on the book, it depends on the couple, it depends on the story, how wide the door is open, or how much of it there is. So, like, Stars of Life, it was friends to lovers, workplace romance. She's going through a divorce. So while the door is open, it's not overly explicit, but I think it fits the story. The next book in that series is much spicier, but he's a reformed playboy. So, like, his whole thing is, like, he doesn't date because he's just got someone new each time. So it made sense for that to be on the spicier side. I have my small town, and there are exactly 3 scenes. Now, the 3 scenes that are there are definitely there. But I didn't think the story really called for a whole lot more. In that book, I did actually...
that epilogue, though,
query
was
that one.
delicious. Delicious.
Well, I queried that, and I got a revise and resubmit, and they wanted it for their very, very spicy line. So I would have had to have changed a lot. Like, it would have had to been almost more spice than anything. So that's why I did indie publish that one. But I just didn't think that it called for that. Like, it had the sweet Hallmark feel. So while, yes, you did get it, it didn't need to be every other chapter. Bryce and Logan, those ones are spicier. Once again, the story calls for it. Especially with Logan, it's one night stand turns more. So
I always love a good one night stand.
if it starts with a bang, like, you know, they kind of have to keep it going. So it kind of depends on the story.
So let me ask you this. You guys are known as Roberts Road. Where exactly did Roberts Road come from, and how can you explain it a little bit?
Ooh, I'll take this one again. Well, it began on a random summer night. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, we actually did meet in summer. So I think we just kind of met at the right place at the right time. I was doing lives. My friend was encouraging me to like go find author friends that I could connect with in the indie world. And so I was going live and interacting with some other authors, like you might know Isabel Olmo and Natalia Hernandez. And then Bobby started creeping on. I don't know if Bobby knew them. I can't remember. Whatever. Bobby started joining us every day, and I was like, cool. And then Ashley and Gracie came on around the same time, and they were just creeping in the comments. But then they creeped in the comments long enough that I was like, y'all need to just come on up, okay? And so they started joining the lives, and then it just became like a daily thing. Like we just couldn't get rid of each other, and so
We were sprinting all the time.
We were every single day. And at some point we were talking about Nora Roberts and like how prolific she is and her work ethic. And so we were like, she writes 8 hours a day. We need to be on that level. So then came the hashtag, we're going to Nora Roberts it. And that was like everything. Like my literal
I was going to ask y'all about that.
Nora Robertsing it. But that kind of just like kicked off, and then so we were diligent about making sure we worked every day. We did an all-day write-a-thon. Like we were making moves.
Yeah.
And just to kind of put this in perspective, we became friends in like August of 2023,
3.
and we've published like 30 books collectively since we became friends. So I'm just gonna say, like, I think we hit like we're hitting the Nora Roberts stride. We're getting there. But anyway, so then we were talking about going to all these signings together because we were all getting to the point
In a
where we were
caravan.
like, we're gonna start going to signings. We were gonna caravan together. We got a tour bus. And we're like, they're gonna put us in a row, and then they're just gonna call us Roberts Row. And
We were going to get a banner and everything, just like
everything,
a
like the
banner.
works. Okay.
And then the group
And-
chat, we started talking Roberts Row this, Roberts Row that.
And then the name just stuck. One day Bobby sends us a logo. She's like, I made us a logo. Like, okay. That just became our logo.
And we
It's
got
on the back of the
t-shirts.
shirt.
It is on
We
our
have
t-shirts.
t-shirts.
We got
Um,
t-shirts.
We have stickers, like
With stickers.
one of our stickers. And it became like our thing, it became our logo, it became who we identified ourselves as. And so anytime we talk about us as a group, it's Roberts Row. It's like, oh, you don't know the row? What are you doing?
Wow.
And we've
the whole
kind of
thing.
been inseparable since. So I guess it was just kind of like random fate or something. I don't know. But we were just looking for author friends to just kind of like have some support. And now we're literally like real life best friends.
Inseparable.
I've gone to Ashley's house how many times now? Like
There's a
whatever.
couple.
I'm not going to visit Gracie. She lives in Florida. So I'm just
No,
going to drive by her. But
For now.
But like, we've talked about planning trips and stuff together. We know each other's kid. Well, I know their kids. I don't have them, but
You have furry ones. It's cool.
I do. Speaking
let
of
me
which,
ask-
one's right here.
Let me ask you this.
Say hi. She said no.
Jesus.
Absolutely not.
Do you think by having the support that you guys have for each other and that you coming together, that it really helps the creative process? And do you think having this connection is also a way to have other authors be able to connect with other authors by the example that you give?
Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, you're asking like how has this created our dynamic, and then how do we think that influences others to look for that same type of dynamic? Okay. I would say yes and yes in a way. So now we're not just Roberts Row, we are Roberts Row and friends. And so there are other authors who now come and write with us. Sometimes they stay in the comment section. There are a couple of them in the comment section right now. Sometimes they come into our Discord or they come up with us and they write. We are always, every time one of us individually or collectively, we have an interview, we tell people like the most important thing and the best thing that you can do for yourself as an indie author is to build a community of people who will keep you going. Because there are definitely days when every single one of us has been like, I'm out of here. I'm done. I quit. Like nothing is showing. My KDP is blank for like the last 2 weeks. Why am I even doing this? And we're like, nope, let's go. Let's go. We got to write. Like there's still more to come. We still have time. If you look at all of those other authors who are successful, 90% of them are not breakout on their first book. There's 3 to 5 years behind them before, they become that breakout. And so we really do kind of just push each other to keep going when sometimes the keeping going is too hard. And we tell others to do that. And then we have Vanessa, who is in the comments section, who is literally job security, because every book she reads, she's like, oh, and this side character should have a book too.
Every
And
side
so
character.
we just
Right.
add, just keep adding more books to the list of what needs she is. And she has a t-shirt now that says Roberts Row Job Security.
Oh, well.
So yeah, it's a thing.
I like that. There's so many times that a lot of authors will get discouraged They don't have the support system that they want, not even from their own family. So, seeing you guys come together, y'all making these anthologies, y'all support each other on your own works, and just really be there for one another is a great thing. And to me, an example of just because there is a lot of haters in the literary world does not mean they are the loudest voices in the literary world.
Yep. And
So, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add that we're very big about cheering for not only each other, but anyone. We don't care who you, as long as you're not a trash human, we don't care who you are in the indie world. We will be some of the loudest voices you will ever see. We'll repost it. We'll talk about it. I will do shameless plugs, even though I haven't read your book and I have no idea what it's about. I will make something up. I don't care. So I think that that's...
She will.
I will. And I think that that's something that we do a really good job of, is we don't care if you feel like no one's rooting for you, like we're rooting for you. And we'll make all of our friends root for you too. They may not know what's going on either, but they'll do it.
Yeah.
Because they root for us. And so that's kind of the community that we've fostered. It's like an open door for everyone, whether you know it or not.
I love that.
Yeah,
And that's how we started, right? That's how we started, just random authors getting together on TikTok Live, writing together, and so we don't forget about that.
Yeah. So, do you all critique each other's work, or is it more of a support system?
We'll send it to each other.
Yeah.
Like, be it a blurb, which are, God, they're awful.
Blurbs.
So we send each other that trash. So we can, try to make it less trash than it already is. Cole County, like, if it might not be the whole thing, but if there's like a section, like say in Falling, that fall festival, we all wrote that. So we send it to each other. Like, does this work? Does this make sense? Like, does it tie in with yours? So pretty much like anytime we need it, like if we need help with something, we know we can send it to each other and they'll look at it and give us, at least an opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I wrote Echoes, I sent it to Bobby. Bobby did the first read through, and I have a lot of Spanish in my book, and Bobby reads. She speaks Spanish, so she reads Spanish. So I missed a lot of either the accent, or I had the acento over the e wrong. She was like, "You missed it on this one. You missed it on," because sometimes I would forget on which word I have to specifically put that little mark over the e. And she's like, "You have to put it on this one." I'm like, "Okay, I forgot that one," because it's been so long since I've written in Spanish that when I'm trying to get back into Spanish, I've forgotten some of the rules. So it's one of those things that you just gotta, if you don't practice it, you forget it. So Bobby was a little more familiar with it, so she was the one that kind of helped, or Leya. Sorry, I keep calling her Bobby, but she's Leya here.
It's me. It's me.
And she's speaks Spanish. I was like, okay, Bobby, I'm like, you're gonna have to tell me, because I completely forgot where I missed the accent on some of my words, and she would tell me, or I reach out to other friends. But yeah, we usually will feed off of each other. We bounce off of each other.
I love that. And let me just say one thing. Those of you who are new to Black Girl Tired podcast via TikTok page, I do not tolerate bullying in the comments. I do not tolerate trash talking unless they're a shit ass human being. But if they're a shit ass human being, 10 out of 10, they probably won't be out on here. So if you have something derogatory or negative to say, I'm going to need you to exit stage left, because you do not want to get on my bad side, because I'm a bitch. And I promise you, you will not like when I'm angry. I am worse than the Hulk, but 10 times worse than your mama should have swallowed. So therefore, please,
I like that.
Please be nice. Be kind. And if this is not the live for you, just go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, y'all can finish.
Yeah, I think a lot of, we support each other outside of the writing as well. So like just kind of in real life, we have sent gifts to each other for, um, different events, positive and negative events that have happened in our real lives. But I think when it comes to the writing, it is okay, stop talking about my friend like that.
Yeah.
Stop talking about my friend's writing. You know, we can fix it collectively, whatever it is, we can fix it and make it better. But you have to write it.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
get it written, and then we can work on and fix it, and we'll do it together.
Okay. Okay. Now, how many more books are we getting?
For Cole County?
Now, Ashley, why your face turn like that?
Well, because that's a wide open question. Cole County has one more.
Yes.
But we've got, I don't know, 87 more anthologies that we keep coming up with. So
are we going to get a paranormal? Are we going to get a paranormal anthology?
We do have a spooky one.
No, that's a mass release. That doesn't count. So yes, I did suggest a paranormal anthology. It's not slated for a couple of years.
For fuck's sake,
hold on. Remember, Cole County wasn't supposed to finish release until 2028. This is Robert's Rose talking to. So it very well, you might get it next month. Hold the horses right there. But yeah, no, Cole County only has one more, and then the next anthology / anthology series we're doing is actually going to be Whiskey Falls. So it's going to be based on different distilleries and things like that. And yes, I think Gracie did reference it in one of her stories or books, and so that's
what I'm looking like. Wait, goddamn me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the next one you're getting after Cole County finishes in May.
And if you read My Snowden in the epilogue, the male who is referenced in that epilogue, he actually matches up with another one of my series. And so there will be a crossover between another series and Cole County, just so that Cole County doesn't die out. I will be re-releasing all of those in extended form because they all had much more stories to tell, but I was already told that I had used up too many words. So but I do have a real short, sweet paranormal for you if you want, a bunch of sex and a bunch of unaliving.
You're speaking my language.
It is a good time.
Because they deserved it. And it's only 130 pages, so, enjoy. It's free today, too.
I forgot all about our Boulder Ranch. It's going to be a whole series.
Yep.
So I forgot about that, too.
Yeah, so from spring, they got a whole series coming out.
I'm doing the interview. I'm finna...
He's like, not waiting.
I'll get it in a minute. What advice would you give to other writers who are thinking about forming their own writing group like you guys?
I think the most important thing is find people that you want to spend every day with. And it's not that you have to spend every day with them. I think that we're probably a really kind of a rare sort of thing that just happened, because I don't know that we've gotten tired of each other ever. And quite frankly, if we need a minute, we just don't respond in one of the 800 group chats. We just get back to you when we can and say, we're not going to read everything, so just give me a synopsis.
Yeah.
I think find people that you want to spend countless hours with, because it's not just being on live writing. It's not just the text or the TikTok group chat. It's
the memes at all hours of the night.
Hey,
but there's a lot more that goes into just writing the book, and so you need to have people that you feel like you can go to outside of just the writing. If we have a question on a graphic, we send it to each other. If I have a question about what outfit to wear to a signing, Ashley sends us a fashion show every single time.
Don't judge me like that.
That's not a judge. That's not a judgment.
If we need advice on anything that may impact our ability to write, we go to each other. So find people that you feel comfortable being with every day.
Or Gracie, how high are your heels going to be this time you go to a signing?
Making us look.
Because we're already
yes,
short.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because we're short.
I felt like a little person.
What? And I was standing right next to her.
When you stood up at the book signing, I was like, "Oh my God!"
I know I'm tall.
Just supermodel just standing right there.
The first
and
time
had
I
the
met her, I
nerves
was
to wear pumps. had the nerve to wear pumps.
Sorry.
The audacity.
Sorry. I love wearing heels. I love wearing
And
heels.
the crazy part
And you
about
look
it,
so
I had on
cute.
platform sneakers, and they still didn't make me taller than Gracie, or even to her shoulders.
We love you in your pumps, Gracie.
So here's a question. We got a few more before we get out of here. What do you think makes a great book, boyfriend, girlfriend, in a cozy romance novel?
Oh, see, I love a Cinnadom. I love a dude who is a cinnamon roll. He is sweet on her, like you could lick him off your fingers, and yet he knows how to take control when it is time to take control. That give it to me. Just give it to me.
Yep.
Okay.
All of
Golden
my
Retriever
men.
is nice and all that, but
Yeah.
no, give me a Cinnadom any day.
Second, I'm going to second
Yep.
that.
Also same. Like all of my men will be so sweet to her, but they're also going to be a good time, and they're going to have a filthy mouth.
That part.
So that's a requirement. They treat her like gold, and filthy mouth.
I love a filthy mouth. Yep.
Cassandra, I didn't make that up. That actually, I think, came from a book that I read last winter. It was called The Cabin, and it was delicious. Delicious. He read all her spicy romance novels before she did, and then acted out the scenes that she marked as her
Oh,
favorite. Yes,
if
yes.
my husband was to act out any of the scenes of the books that I read, he
Girl.
would be in jail. Jail, underneath the jail.
Okay, well, some books you might have to put away, but
So, what about the rest of you guys? What type of?
I mean, I'm with Bobby, and I love the filthy mouth, but like just an overall, like everyone else sees him, they're like, oh, he's so sweet, and then he opens his mouth behind closed doors, and you're like, excuse me. So I'm with Bobby on that one.
What about you, Gracie?
Yeah, I think mine will have to be the same.
Oh damn!
Treat her like a queen, just the sweetest can be. But yeah,
So y'all behind closed doors nasty. Gotcha. Message. All right. So, if one of your main characters that you actually just love, if one of your main characters were to take you on a dream vacation, where would they go and why?
oh,
That's a tough one.
that is a tough one.
My goal in life
I would
is always
say-
to stump you authors. That's my goal in life.
I would say with Bryce, I would say the vacation would be the beach.
Mm.
And in that story, like, part of it takes place at the beach, like at the ocean. It's in the wintertime, so it's not like the typical, laying out in the sun. But the beach is kind of like a place of clarity.
Mm.
And things changed in that setting. So I feel like if I had to pick one of my favorite male main characters, I feel like that would be his choice vacation.
I think I would actually probably pick the male main character from the book that just released yesterday, Gavin. He does quarterly trips with his best friends from college, and one of them is a cabin trip every year. And just kind of the scenery of that trip, like up in the mountains, it's snowy, and it's just relaxing, and it's just fresh air, and just like that reset to just kind of escape all the crazy stuff that goes around us every day. I think that would probably be like my dream vacation, especially if I could take a whole suitcase of books.
Okay. Gracie, what you got?
I think I think mine would be Levi from Forever Luna.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'd probably pick him. I'm torn. I'm like really torn, but I think I'd pick him Gosh, I'm torn. I'm just gonna pick him. I pick him, and I like the cold. Like I love the cold. And I'm torn about the place that I want to go, but I think I would go up north, somewhere where I can see the northern lights. Just snowed in somewhere so I can see the northern lights. Yeah.
You know what? I am in the cold right now. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Same.
Grace
It's
and I
like-
Look at her
It's
like,
like usually 80 and 90 degrees right now.
yes,
I would
please.
Shouldn't
take,
be.
Gracie, I would
Yes,
take your
please.
80 and 90 degrees and I will send you to this 10-degree weather, okay?
Grace and I are coming. We're coming. Like, we got our bags packed. We're on
You
our
guys
Oh my
can
God.
have it. You guys can have it.
What about you, Leia?
I was sitting here looking at my book list, and I was like, two of my male main characters somehow randomly took their women to Italy, but then I was sitting there and I was thinking, one of my favorite characters is Asher, and he's from my You've Got Book Mail. He's the mailman, and he had never planned to come back to his small town. Like he had planned to live at the beach, have his big beach house. He was going to be a football player, and all of the things that. And so I think that for him, it would be somewhere on the beach in a villa, wherever that happens to be. Maybe it's in Italy too, since I seem to randomly have this thing for sending my characters to Italy. But just somewhere to get away where the ocean is my happy place, right? It does wash away all my stress just listening to the waves and all of that. And so having some private oasis for, the two of us along the ocean, I think that's it.
I love the ocean. Lately, I don't want to go in it because of all the crazy shit that's been going on.
But I want to hear it. I just need to hear it.
Yeah, I don't want to be in it. I just want
see
to.
it.
I just want to hear the water. I don't want to
When
be
I
in
was
it.
when I was stationed in California, and I used to go to Carlsbad to go surfing a lot, and I would sit at night. I would go out to drive out there at night and just listen to the waves crashing. It was the most relaxing shit, and then I could go home and go right to sleep.
Yeah. Before I moved here to North Carolina, where I lived in New Jersey, I literally just opened the window and I could hear the waves crashing. I missed that.
You know what? I actually loved. Well, not all of North Carolina, but I was in Fayetteville, Hope Mills, Raleigh, Rayford. I was around those areas, and Rayford and Hope Mills was one of my favorite places to be in. Fayetteville, not so much, but yeah.
I'm in Sanford, so not too far away.
Oh, I like Sanford.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
If you could describe your contributions to Cole County in 3 words, what would it be?
Master of madness. I take responsibility.
What y'all got?
Gosh, 3 words?
3 words. If you could
Cozy,
describe.
cozy, spicy, good time.
I like
It's
to
4
go
We're gonna
words,
hyphenate
but that's
good
fine.
time. We're hyphenating it.
Not hyphenating it.
Okay.
Okay. What you got, Leia, and go Gracie? What you got?
Go ahead, Gracie. I'm still trying to come up with words.
Um, oh, I got 2 words. I'm trying to think of my third one. Humor, sass, and friendship.
I can see that. Definitely can see that.
Okay. All right. You get 2, and you get 1 that is completely off kilter because it has to. Continuity, collaboration, and cunnilingus.
Well,
what?
then, I love that. There's nothing wrong with a good congolingus.
Not at all. Not at
Nothing
all.
wrong with it. So, what is next for each of you? Like any solo books we should know about, or upcoming projects you'd like to discuss and tell us so we can go and get them?
We all just put out a book yesterday. We just had a mass release yesterday.
We did.
We did.
We did. It's true.
That was the answer. That's it.
Gracie, what was yours? Go ahead and put them out. Share them.
The one I was released yesterday.
Yeah.
I released Marrying Whiskey. So you should be getting your copy of this one, Storm. You'll be getting yours in the mail. So it's a short little novella. It's a little novella. It goes back to loving whiskey. So it follows Colt and Willow and their wedding. So this is it touched bases with them. It's a short little Valentine's novella.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's this one. And
it's spicier according to her art readers.
It does have open doors on that one.
Oh.
So I opened the door for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you just got to throw the door open. All right. So I put out Clarissa and the Wallflower, which came originally from Carol's Christmas Awakening. They are the assistants to the two from that book, and they are an opposites attract, friends to lovers. Everybody thought they were dating and they were not, and they were too afraid to let each other know. But she is everything he is not and everything he wants.
Oh.
And so, yeah. And there's a little dog in there.
Not the little dog.
I know. He's so cute. He actually saves a dog. There is a trigger warning on that chapter where he saves the dog just in case people have, you know,
need to skip. On that?
I did. I put a trigger warning on that chapter.
I didn't put one in mine.
Well, but yours wasn't intentional. Like somebody tried to off the dog, and he saved the dog. Like, so that's the trigger warning.
Okay. Okay, good. You had me scared.
Yep. So I put a little trigger. It can be skipped. The chapter can be skipped if it needs to, but it's in there. And she is the one who is the dominatrix by night, and she helps him realize he has a praise kink.
Oh, I must read this immediately.
Well, this is mine. This is Calls of Need. It is a novella. It's a little cute little short one. It is in the same world as Stars of Life. They do not need to be read in any order. This one actually follows a side character that we do see in the first two books. And basically her marriage was over the same day that she said I do. So in this book, we find out what happens next. She's a travel nurse. She finds herself in Chicago. And while she is there, she has a friend that's there because she knows him through a mutual friend. And she works at this hospital, and right away, you know, she decides to go to a floor that she doesn't normally work on, and she has to page the doctor because the patient is in trouble. So the doctor shows up, and he's cocky. He doesn't ask her any questions. He assumes that she's new and doesn't know what she's doing, talks down to her, and, you know, she puts him in his place, and she basically tells him, like, just because you don't know me doesn't mean that I'm new. And tells him what he shouldn't do. And you never should do this without assessing the patient. And that's how they start off. So it's an enemies to lovers. They find themselves in the same place by chance. And she's not having it. She's like, I'm just going to go. And he's like, well, just one drink. So then their one drink lasts longer than one drink. And it's a little bit of a fling. And then the next morning, there's a whole awkward scene. Which I cringe each time that I read it. And yeah, like she finds out that he's not who she thought that he was. Like he comes off as a total asshole, and he's actually not that bad. And it, follows her little story. And she has her little fresh start and her good times.
We like a good time.
We like a good time.
Okay, Britton, what you got for
All
me?
right. So I released Scarlet Hearts yesterday. This one is Ashley's fault. That's all I'm going to say. This was actually inspired because I attended Ohio State undergrad. And so the male main character he's the type that like loves hard, falls fast, and he's been single for the past 5 years after his first love that he was with for 12. And so his younger sister is following in his footsteps. She's also attending Ohio State, and she has this organization where her and her friends put on events for singles around Ohio. And so he gets dragged to her Valentine's Day singles meetup every year because they have a really close relationship, and he'll do anything for his little sister. Our female main character, both her parents just died, and her best friend convinces her to move back to Ohio. They've been best friends since they met freshman year at Ohio State. And so they become neighbors, and she meets someone at the grocery store, and it's like, oh, there's this singles meetup, and her best friend convinces her to go. And they're both about to walk out the door and run into each other, and he asks her for a drink. They end up having dinner, and he doesn't get her number. And so for 3 days, he's like dumbfounded until his friend tells him, like drop something at her house, show up at her house and be like, come out with me. And they recreate one of the nights they were actually in the same place, but they didn't know each other. So they'll go back through like old photos and they'll see each other in the pictures, but they never knew each other when they were at school together. And so that kind of brings them together. They bond over that. And their relationship is spectacularly awkward sometimes. And they just like fumble over each other, but they eventually get there. And it all started at Ohio State.
So y'all got y'all marching orders. Go get these books. Where can we find your books? What are your socials? And do you all have a newsletter or a Facebook group or both?
All right, I'll go first since I just went last. So most of my socials are going to be Britton Brinkley _author. Books are on Amazon, and then signed copies are on my website, brittonbrinkley.com. I do have a Facebook group, Britton B's Book World. But if you just click on my name and you go to where all the links live, every link for everything is right there. So you don't even have to try to actually remember anything other than to go to the links. And then I'll take you to my link tree.
Okay.
So all of my books are on Amazon, and you can also find signed copies at my website, ashleywillow.com. I do have a readers group. It is Ashley Willow's Romance Readers, and I am Ashley Willow Writes pretty much everywhere but Facebook.
I am Leya Lane author or Leya Lane romance just about everywhere. There is a link in my link tree that has everything listed out to make it nice and simple. I do have a newsletter, and there is a free story if you sign up from the link that's in my link tree. It's a little short story that follows from You've Got Book Mail, but you can read it without having read that book. And I also have a Discord, and I do sometimes give things away. I have ARC signups there first and everything. So there is a Discord. I do share so my newsletter and the Discord, I am both Bobby and Leya in there because it is exhausting to try to promote two different pen names. So there are some things that are combined, and those are the two things that I have combined. But everywhere else, I am Leya Lane Romance.
Okay.
And then I'm Cooper author on all of the social medias. And then if you go to the little where the links are at, you'll have everything there. My books are on the Zon as well. And I just got my website up and running. So my books are now, if you want a signed paperback, they're also available on my site. And that's graciecooper.com.
Oh yeah, I have one of those too.
And I have a newsletter too. You can sign up there, and usually when I am releasing covers or new books, usually my newsletter, people who are I'll sign up on my newsletter, they find out first before anybody on social media. The readers find out there first.
And I think we all have a link to the Cole County pre-orders
Yeah.
in our link trees as well.
Everybody that's on here, that's in the comments, I want y'all to go read these books. I really, 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 really highly suggest it. Even if you're not a cozy comfort reader, you will enjoy these books. Y'all know I like some crazy ass shit when I read. Horror and fucking paranormal and sci-fi is my thing. But when I like romance, yes, I like him to bust her back and, maybe spank her a little bit and give her a hand necklace. But I'm saying these are good reads, and I would suggest y'all go get them. And not to mention, let me show y'all something, because this was just the cutest shit I ever seen. Where is it? You see this?
Now you have to order. You have to
pre-order those.
To get those.
Yeah.
You can't get those on Amazon.
Thank you for saying it. But these are so. Go get them. Go get them. I'm telling y'all would like them. So, with that being said, I appreciate you all for coming on here. I'm going to have to get into all of your work. Well, I'm already into Gracie's, but I'm going to take the time out to read some of your work, especially, you got paranormal. But I want to read you guys' work so I can get a better understanding of you guys as writers. I got a little bit from the Cole County, but I want to see what y'all write separately. And I appreciate you for taking the time to come out on this here live to speak to my crazy ass. And I appreciate the fact that y'all stick together and help one another. That's needed. Niceness, it doesn't pay too much to just be nice to people. Mm-hmm. Just be nice to people. And friendship is priceless. So I commend you, ladies. I love what you're doing. I'm rooting for more Cole County. Yep. I am also rooting for that paranormal supernatural book anthology.
You got to get Ashley on board. Just tell Ashley she has to do it. She's the only holdup.
Come on, Ashley.
What? Fine. Please. Fine, I'll do it.
That's all I'm asking.
It doesn't take much peer pressure around here at all.
I'm easy. Okay, fine. Just tell me when.
I would love to see it, because the way you guys talk, your different writing styles from your books, I just think that the paranormal for the four of y'all is going to be hell on wheels. And I just feel like it's going to be hell on wheels, but I want to see it. But thank you guys again. I appreciate y'all. Y'all go get their books, and y'all have a great night.
Thank you so
much.
You're welcome.
Have a good night. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.